everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. I'm your host, DJ Alessandrini, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tom O'Gorman. Tom, how's it going?
Oh,
Did it feel forced?
I miss the old one.
Does anybody?
Real ones know the difference.
Yeah. Does
Real ones know the
anybody?
difference.
Does anybody spot the difference?
That was good. Dude, I'm good. I'm riding high. I'm having a good time. I've had a good couple weeks. Like, I'm feeling good. How are you?
I'm a little tired, but that's just at work we have everyone who's normally remote. They're in the office, so we all went and did Top Golf. I've never done Top Golf before. Have you ever done Top Golf before, Tom?
Yeah, what was your impression? Well, you like golf, kind of.
What? What do you mean I like golf? Do I
You
strike
and
you as
Christine go
somebody who
golfing.
likes golf? I like hanging out with Christine. Let's not get it confused.
Okay. What did you think of Top Golf?
I'm a race car driver, damn it. It was fun.
You liked it? Okay, I don't know. The one time I went, they didn't seem to have any sort of like scoring or system or anything.
Really?
So we just whacked the balls for a little while, and then at the end they were just like, "You're done." We're like, "Are there scores?" And they're like, "No, you didn't play that mode." I'm like,
Yeah, you got to go on the screen.
what did I play for?
So we played like an Angry Birds game where it kind of keeps track of where your ball goes, and then you're like knocking down a tower with your golf ball.
Huh.
So that
sounds way more fun than whatever I did.
Yeah, that was a cool warm up. But then eventually I started getting the hang of like actually hitting the ball, so I kept hitting the ball over the tower, which like it was a little bit of you would hit the ball and you're like, "Ooh, yeah, that one felt good." And then you would look back at the screen to see how you affected the tower, and like you hit like, Angry Birds where you like knocked on the tower and it squishes the green pigs, right?
Yep.
And the ball would just go over the tower and you're like, "Oh, I felt good about that hit, but like I need to like suck at this for like to do better in this game." So,
Gotcha.
which I definitely sucked the most in the right direction in Angry Birds because I ended up winning that one. So, let's go.
Did you play it at the end?
No, we played it right in the beginning, which was good because then I started to get the hang of it. Dude, it's actually surprising how much it was like driving, where like if you thought about it too much, everything would fall apart. But the moment that you're just like you found the right thing to focus on. So basically I would focus on like the way the club felt in my hands, like it would like kind of rock in my hands, but like I would keep my eye on the ball the whole time. And then as I like swung through, just like kept staring at the ball, I would actually get like a really good hit and it would go like, I don't know, it'd go super far. My ball speed was like 110, 120 in that range, which I don't know if is good or not, but like it went far. It went to the last, it landed in the last target a couple of times. So,
Huh.
I don't know. Tom, I might be good at this.
You might.
I might be good at Top
If
Golf.
you're a good driver of all kinds.
Yeah.
Driver stick, driver wheel. What else can you drive?
Driver stick?
Computers, computer drivers.
Yeah, computer drivers.
You're pretty good at those.
Yep.
You found your calling, bud.
Yeah, driver. I'm just gonna put that on my resume. It's gonna be a one-word resume. You know how resumes are getting a little too long? One word, driver.
Then you put like the bullet list is GLTC race winner, and then whatever your par is for golf for some reason.
Yep.
And then also whatever your RAM is or whatever's related to drivers and computers.
Yeah. I'll put my
Just
Angry
three
Birds.
things that have nothing to do with each other.
I'm gonna put my Angry Birds Top Golf score.
There you go.
Yeah, I got 3 stars. Let's go.
Did you win?
On the Angry Birds
won
one,
that
but
one.
not the other one. The dang Hawk intern keeps beating me at everything, Tom. It's kind of ruining it for me. I used to like him.
This is the kid that got you into Mario Kart Extra too, right?
Well, he's the one that's making me lizard on it, but like I think he's lizarding harder than I am on the Mario Kart, which is like a little disappointing because I'm not going to give up iRacing to play Mario Kart. I'm not an idiot, but like here's the thing is like the whole work group, we're all watching like the same videos. The YouTuber is called Shortcat and he makes really fun Mario Kart videos and he talks like while he's playing it and he like kind of tells you about like the little tricks and techniques that he's using to like, go as fast as possible and like the way he's using items and all that stuff. We won't talk about Mario Kart too much, but we're all in the
It
same like YouTube rabbit hole. So like we end up like talking about Mario Kart a lot at work, which is kind of fun. We're being
this is
real,
wild.
we're being real productive in the office right now.
Yeah, I bet. Between Topgolf and Mario Kart, you're just like high school or like college kids.
It feels a little bit like it, yeah.
That's fun.
So
Uh, how was your weekend?
it was it was good, man. Uh it's super fun. Peter did so well this weekend. He beat me day one, and uh there wasn't necessarily anything that I was super bummed about my first run. I feel like I could have done a little bit better. Um but then Peter went out there and beat me by like 2/10. Uh and so then going into day two I was at a little bit of a deficit, and I felt like I felt super serious DJ come out, and even Peter noticed. I was like, I am not losing. Uh, even though it would have been cool for Peter to get his first win, uh, I just I don't want him to beat me to get that first win.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but you know what? It's class of 14, ton of people in the class. Um, and Peter ended up losing to me by a little over 2/10. And then the next person closest to Peter was a second. So if I wasn't there, Peter would have looked like he just decimated the whole class, which he definitely did. I just barely beat him. So Peter, and
Yeah.
also super proud of Peter for he was just a 100% competitor on day two. He didn't lose because he got in his own way or anything like that. It's just I managed to do a run that was just a tiny bit better than Peter. Like he was in control of his emotions and his game plan and everything he needed to do. It was very much like me at nationals last year, where I was proud of the way I handled the pressure and the way I competed. I just wasn't able to put together the run that I knew was out there. And the same thing happened to Peter. So if we both go into nationals like that and we just put together the best runs we can, hopefully they're enough. If not, but if we like handle the competition like we did this last weekend, I think we can say that we had a like a good successful nationals.
It's good. Was this your last event before nationals together?
We're doing a 2 day Steel Cities event. That's not this weekend, but the next
Oh,
weekend.
gotcha. I feel like the last one or two things you do before the championship season is like so critical. So to have them go well is like a massive win.
Yeah,
It's a win on top of like the individual event. It's like the hitting that stride before. I feel like every championship is either in September or October. So this time of year, it's like either the last two or three are kind of rough, or they're kind of great, and you're just set up for success or failure based on that.
I feel like we're both in a good headspace where it's like all we can do is our best, and like we're
Yeah,
just gonna put those runs out there, and wherever we end up is like wherever we end up, and I think that's the best way to go about it. Uh, but you know what, guys, there's still 3 weeks before nationals. I'm sure we'll probably change something drastically on the car right before. I don't know. Let's just throw a wrench in it. Come on, guys. Let's just screw it up for everyone.
weren't you talking about changing tire sizes entirely?
We are gonna have different tire sizes for the last event just because that's all we could get a hold of. Man, I might have bought the last four 245 45 17s RE71 RSs that are in existence because it took a local Firestone to like I called them. They're like, "Oh, we have two tires," and then they call me back. "Oh, we have three," and I'm like, "Well, it's not gonna work." And then they called me back like 2 hours later. "We have four tires," and I'm like, "Bye, bye, bye." I don't know where they're like pulling these tires out of, but like
I was gonna say,
they
imagine
found
how
some.
disorganized that shop is. That
Well,
they're still finding random
well,
ones
they
here and
had to
there.
have them shipped to them. I don't know where they were finding the
Oh, oh,
tires.
oh.
Maybe somebody was
Yeah.
bored and he was like, I don't know. I don't know how the tire look, guys, if you know how the tire network works, then please let me know. But I don't know how that's possible where they like have this many tires, then a couple hours later have another tire, and then a couple hours later, like another tire. Like I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know either. We have a friend that works for Tire Rack. I'll ask him. He's on the wholesale side, I think, but he knows how moving them around the country works.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. You talking about Trent or Chris?
Chris,
Yeah.
but not the Chris you're thinking of.
Not Chris, but also named Trent. Because that tire rack, they have
Not that
different
guy.
names. Okay, gotcha.
He would know, but he's not listening to this podcast, I don't think. If you are,
I
hi,
think he
Chris.
does. I think he does listen to podcasts. Well, at least when I
Oh,
visited it, I went to Tyrek for a work trip like sometime last year. I think that was last year. Yeah, it was last year. And he brought it. We talked about the podcast the whole time. We didn't even talk about work. So
aw. That's super cool. I feel like I go to a lot of events. I mean, I'm going to a lot of events this year, obviously, but the events that I actually hear about the podcast are still like the grassroots events that I look forward to the most. And the fact that those are the audiences that we get are like makes me happy.
yeah, it is cool.
Like no one at WRL, well, maybe not, but I don't remember anybody walking up at WRL being like, "Love the podcast."
Well, we have
Maybe not.
like some episodes get way more views or listens. Um but like consistently we're getting like 800. So there's 800 individual people and then there's like probably like another 800 that will like off and on listen to the podcast. So I don't know that many people.
I don't either.
That's so many people.
That's so
So
cool.
I'm willing to guess that they're kind of spread like all over motorsports and maybe even not motorsports.
Yeah. Good point. Sorry, we're talking about autocross so much, but that's what's coming up, friends. So if you're not an autocrosser,
Af
I try to spin everything about autocross into just like general,
General
but
driving.
we have done two straight weekends of autocross, which have been so fun. I've had the best time. Been feeling like myself again, just like
Competing.
getting to autocross. Yeah, well, yeah, and especially like last weekend with the runway courses that we had. We didn't get to talk about it a lot because John was with us, and it's whatever. But getting to drive like this big autocross courses again in Wisconsin, all we had was these little speedways,
Yeah, yeah,
which are
yeah.
very fun. You've seen them, but I don't know. I just and seeing all these people that I've now known for like 15 to 17 years is kind of wild. It's just all been so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I do really like the camaraderie. Uh it I did miss everyone cuz I haven't been going to that many national events, but this year I feel like I have been. So,
Yeah,
yeah, just seeing everybody and I think even like last year I went to a couple national events, but I was kind of there was like so many new faces, but like at this point I kind of know all the new faces, right? So like you've just done two last like there's a lot of new faces, isn't there? Like there's a lot of faces you
yeah.
recognize, but there's a lot of new people that like you're like, who's that person? Right? That's I mean that's just how autocross is. It's like an entry level motorsport. So there's a ton of new people that come in, they might bounce off, some people might move on to something else, right? So there's constantly new faces in autocross. And if you're doing it all the time, you might not notice, but if you like stepped away for a year and then you came back and you're like, whoa, who are all these people? Right?
That's totally how I felt when I tried to go road racing. So I did a bunch of national events in 2014 still. But then 2015 is the first year that I didn't do as many. And then 16 was that year that I told the story about of like no extracurriculars, no extra fun. So like 16 is the first year I didn't do a whole lot. And when I started doing more events in like 17, 18, even just those 3 years, I was like, oh, it's a whole lot of new faces and cars and people I can't place. And all
Yep.
now I'm reading a bunch of them now. I'm like, I like you and I like you and you're fun.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
the new group of friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it almost feels fresh again, doesn't it? Because you're like meeting all
Yeah.
these new people and these like fast people. Like C Street this weekend's full of a bunch of like there was a bunch of fast people and like a lot of those people I've never seen their names before, but I'm like looking at like the times they're doing and I'm like, "Oh yeah, look at all these like really quick people." Admittedly, I most of D Street I didn't recognize any of those names, but like they were all like relatively competitive. Um and I don't think any of those cars were prepped nearly as much as Peter's, so uh, yeah, it's cool just seeing all these like new faces like making it to national autocross events. It's super cool.
Yep. I what was I going to talk about first? I guess I mean I drove a Camaro this weekend. I had the best time. But it was super weird. This is the first event I've done. Question for you. When's the last time you drove by yourself?
Ooh, I can't remember, Tom. I literally can't remember.
Neither can I. Neither can I. And it was so weird. It was so weird.
At uh pits or at VIR time trials, I drove by myself. That's literally the last because any other time I was driving with somebody else, right? Like track
Yeah,
or well, I guess CMP I kind of drove by myself, but I had like a crew, right? So I
right.
wasn't co-driving, but I was still like part of a team. So VIR time trials and before that, I have no idea.
Yeah, same boat for me, and it was very strange. So I was driving Dave Montgomery's Camaro. He drives his Porsche 914 that I used to get to drive with him, but he was nice enough to drive it up on tires for me to drive, and I love that car. I had a blast. I love driving that car so much, but driving by myself, and I was also like the sixth car in grid. They just run you numerically, so I was the sixth car out in the morning, first heat, with no co-driver. So it would be like 25 minutes between runs. And obviously it's in the first thing in the morning, everyone else has just finished their course walk. So it was super social in grid,
Yep.
super social in grid. And I had nothing else to put my energy into. And I feel like day one, it wasn't a problem, but day two was the day that I was a little too relaxed. So I've been trying to still analyze these events, even though I'm, you know, uh, able to look at the result sheet at the end and say they were successful. Like I still want to push myself. So this is kind of the second event in a weekend or event weekend in a row that I haven't like fully delivered on one of the 2 days. Uh where the other day was like everything I'm completely happy with. No regrets leaving the day. But I'm like it's a very tricky spot to put myself like I can pinpoint. I'm trying to do what I talked about Sam doing. Do you remember that what I talked about Sam did?
Why don't you refresh everyone in case they
Sure, fine.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So when we were at Finger Lakes, I wasn't particularly happy with my day one, but I was learning the car the first time. Well, day two, Sam wasn't happy with his day two, but his process right after was what I hoped for myself to do, which is get out of the car. We had data running, look at the data, figure out where the time was compared to my run, talk to me about it, have me look at it with him, decide where the learning takeaways are, and move on. So I had that day too, and I basically boiled down to like the car denied a downshift. It's a 10-speed auto, so I go to third in some of the parts of the course, and it denied a downshift from 3 to 2 because I requested it too early, and the Camaros don't like cue the downshift up. They just throw it away. So I ended up coming into a corner with less engine braking than I wanted, plowing a little bit wide, going back to throttle. I'm still in third gear, so I have no dig out of the corner, and then I'm just kind of like wonky for I don't know 20% of the course, let's say tops. That's the time that I left out there to improve. And it's like leaving that day is like I didn't get everything out of that car that I wanted to. Why did that happen? I missed the downshift. Next time I drive that car, I need a downshift later. Okay, that is what it is. The reason I say all that out loud is I feel like we can overcomplicate why things didn't go well, but I've been trying to simplify as much as possible when things can boil down to like a super simple root cause analysis and then not get hung up on it.
Yeah, like
Um,
downshift as late as possible with the
yeah, like
Camaro.
literally
Yeah.
nothing else beyond that is worth dwelling on. Because that root cause is what happened. It even we do it on this podcast. We use like a bajillion words. That's kind of the point of this podcast. We use a bajillion words to talk about driving that can be very simplified.
Yeah.
Been trying to work on that for myself. It's like simplify the takeaway to then learn quicker and move on quicker and not dwell.
I wish I
Because I
had
beat myself up.
yeah, I wish I had so I on day 2 I kept messing up the slalom. Either uh the car would be out of shape, but not because it was at the limit of adhesion, but because I shocked it like in the slalom. And then so I was slower than I should have been. And then you
Hmm.
brought up like, well, why don't you just use the lift that you're using to set the nose into the slalom on the first cone? Why don't you use that lift to shift in the third? And when you said it, I was like, "Ugh, that's so freaking obvious. I would like, why did it take Tom walking by, literally just casually observing? He's like having conversations with people, and you probably just like looked over, saw me enter the slalom, and went, DJ should have shifted the third right there. And I like didn't think about it. So I was like, "Oh yeah, that's so obvious." So obvious where I'm like, "I'm going to try that on my last run even though I've set the same 2 times in a row, like down to hundreds." And
Yeah.
so I was like, "That's such the more obvious way to do that. I'm just going to do that." And then I don't know what's up with Peter's car cuz he was having trouble getting in the third too, and maybe this is just a GR86 thing. But when the car was loaded up, it was very hard to get it into third gear. Normally just push the shifter forward, goes right in. Don't even think about it. But when I pushed it forward, I like hit the side of the gate. So then it turns into like a little game where you're kind of like, normally I don't grab the shifter and put it in a gear, right? I just kind of like put the bottom of my hand and then just slide it forward, right? Like you let the
Sure.
springs
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
spring things. Um, and so then it turned into a game while I'm lifted, entering the slalom, trying to find third gear. And by the time I found third gear, it was like I felt like I was like a half second late on throttle. And then I just drove through the rest of the slalom. So that was all messed up. And on data, it was exactly the same. So if I would have executed on it correctly, actually been at the limit of adhesion through the rest of the slalom, uh, that could have been 4, 5 tenths, right? Like, because I would have been a slalom executed properly is like accelerating on a straightaway. So
Yep.
it could have been a huge chunk of time, and I just kept throwing it away every time on that slalom. So like going into nationals, hopefully I don't have any moments on course where I just keep like messing up the same element. Hopefully I just mess up a different element, but um like doing the same one over and over again and keep messing it up, but like in different ways is it was a little bit frustrating. I posted my fastest run, but I didn't cut it properly. And at the end I go, Jesus Christ, because I'm like, it was the same time again for the third run. And I'm like, oh my God, I left the door open. I thought I
I need to
lost.
find this video.
Oh, dude, I was so mad at myself. I like improved by like 2 more hundredths, and I was like, cool. I like did 3 runs and they were all like within a half tenth of each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That's frustrating when you know there's the little bits on all three of them. Um, I feel like that was kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about with it is when I was driving by myself, I was realizing all the value that we've talked about plenty, but whether you're doing autocross or if you find ways to share information with people when you go to the track, whether you're sharing data or if it's someone you trust, sharing cars, whatever it is, like that collaboration is just unbeatable when it comes to like learning curves.
Yeah,
Because like I didn't feel like I missed out necessarily on learning anything this weekend because I wasn't driving with somebody, but I missed out in the experience of like forcing myself into being engaged with somebody else through their eyes for the event, like all that stuff is so important.
I think co-driving is just more fun. Were you bored
Yeah.
just sitting there like waiting around to go again?
Well, I had a lot of people coming up and talking and hanging out because I was one of the only cars not moving for like 20 minutes between runs.
Yeah, I
So
gotcha.
I there were a couple moments where I like removed myself to the passenger side of the car from the circle of people that were around, you know,
Yeah.
just to make sure that I was kind of focusing on something. But because I noticed one of the days, I don't remember what run of what day, but I was getting in the car realizing I hadn't thought about anything yet. Like, wait, hang on, I need to like, okay, that was my goal. Yes, okay, I got that. Now I can go. You know,
Yeah.
if I if I was a little less experienced, I think I would have just missed that and got in the car and tried to drive,
And did the same run that you did before? Imagine that.
or just like, what? Yeah, whatever happened. No game plan. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that. We had an interesting conversation on one of the course walks, and I'm going to try to explain the thing that you were describing that I never thought of before. Uh,
Okay, go
so
for it.
so basically, when you're trying to maximize the contact patches, the grip that the car has, you're manipulating the weight to be where you want the grip, right? So if you want the grip on the front of the car, you have the weight on the front of the car using the brakes and the wheel and all that stuff. So the thing that Tom brought up, which I've never thought about before, is that this weight has momentum. So if you're moving it from the front left of the car to the front right of the car, but you stop it in the middle. So let's say you're turning around a right-hand turn, you're on the brakes, now it's on the nose, and then you start turning into like a left-hand turn. So now the weight's moving to the right side of the car. By it stopping in the middle, you lose that momentum of the weight. Like the weight doesn't just instantly change, it has like a momentum behind it. So if you were on the brakes, if you were turning around a right hand thing or even making space for a corner, you get on the brakes, the weight moves from the side of the car to the front, like to the front left of the car. And then you can actually have it like swing around the front. It never stops moving to the front right of the car. So you have like manipulated the weight around the edge of the car. And because the weight never like stopped for a moment, it stayed stationary. The flow of the weight around the car is much more more fluid, and the car would be more playful because of it. I don't like, I haven't thought of it in that capacity. I'm sure I've done that stuff without realizing exactly what I did, but, like, putting it into words and thinking about it, remember we were talking about how I don't think that's something that you like, "Oh, we talked about it, so now you just, like, go do it," but it was something I was thinking about while I was doing the runs, and it actually made, the the turnaround, the prison corner, I like, it was something because I thought about it beforehand, that corner literally went way better than it did beforehand, and then also, the first left-hander on the start of the course, that corner went better, literally just because I thought about how the weight would move around the car before I did my run. Just just, like, conceptualizing how that would work made me a more effective driver, and I think this, like, it, like, comes down to, like, having a world view of driving, and the more filled in that picture is, just the more natural it's going to be to create speed, and I think Tom, like, especially with autocross, like, you have the most high resolution, like, filled in picture, than anybody I've ever met because you just have this, like, fundamental understanding of how to make time when it comes to driving a car on an autocross course. You just have this, like, innate ability to understand exactly where the time is, and, like, I wish if we could take that brain and dump it into, like, something more than just, like the spoken word on a podcast, like, if we could dump that
Don't
in
dump my brain.
if we could
I
dump
need my brain.
yeah, no, if we could just dump the Top Packs Tom brain into, uh,
God.
like like a master class or, like, a book or something, like, I don't think you would have to work anymore, dude, because it's like you have this, like, ultra high resolution view of what you need to do, and I think the hardest part for you is understanding how your high resolution view of what's happening, how that could be applied to other people because you might be Tom, you might understand so much you might understand it on such, like, a high level that it almost might be tough to understand where other people are lacking because it's so obvious to you.
No, I hope I don't. Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen because I hope to always be able to help people. But the hard part for me personally has been learning to verbalize what I feel and then having the confidence to verbalize what I feel
Yeah.
to even try it. So rewind again real quick to reiterate what DJ is explaining. If you picture two corners that are linked together and you have the option to straighten the car up fully between the two corners, in this context, it was to straighten the car up fully to open a corner entry up. But linking two corners, do you want to keep the car loaded or do you want to let the car straighten up for a second? What he's saying is the weight, the momentum, the weight has momentum as it makes that transfer. And if you stop it between the two corners by going straight, you have to restart it. So especially in autocross when the distances are so tight, you want to keep the weight moving. But even like basically NES on a road course. We have them at Autobahn, Pit Race. I can picture them at Sebring. I can picture them at Mid Ohio. There's these corners that link together all the time, and I think slow is fast is a mistake that people fall into, especially on a road course. But even on autocross, they want their hands to be slow and smooth, and that's where it doesn't count. It's you want the momentum of the weight moving around the car to be smooth, and the way the tire hits the ground to be smooth. However else, then like do what you got to do. That's why I look like half like this, like an idiot. My hands are all over the place when I'm driving, but hopefully it always transfers to the ground all the way um, to be smooth.
Yeah, to
Did I
me it was
reiterate that correctly?
yeah, to me it was like the thing that I never took the time or thought of was how the weight like it takes energy from the tires to get that weight moving again if it's like becomes stationary on the front of the car. So if it's moving from one side to the other and you have a smooth transition of that weight like rolling around the outside front of the car, then you actually get more from the tires than you would otherwise.
Correct. And the last part about that we talked about with it was you, me, Peter walking. I think at this point, I don't know if Matt might have been with the four of us. We're together, I think. Anyway, we're talking about this because the decision making process was, do I swing out to open this corner up, which inherently would straighten the momentum of the car and cause a straight braking zone, or do I just like kind of dive at it, which would keep the car loaded one way and then immediately roll the weight to the other side, and it would create this little pivot and it would tighten everything up, and the weight transfer works fully for you. Okay, so the discussion is basically you can't aim to create that weight transfer on purpose. I don't think I'm or anybody else is good enough to think about what it's supposed to feel like and do it. It's something you have to pay attention to, what it feels like when you do it, and the decision that you made to create that, which in this context was, don't straighten up this corner, just roll the weight from one side to the other to try to create like a bigger pivot but cut distance on entry. Um, so if you're listening to all this, like, man, how do I do that? Don't think of paying attention to the weight transfer and try to manipulate the weight transfer. Pay attention to what it feels like when you're trying this, playing with your lines and stuff. Is that all making sense? Am I making sense?
No, that makes sense. I think you think about what it could potentially feel like before you do it and what you would have to do to create that path of the weight around the edge of the car. And then you put yourself in a position where that is more likely to happen.
Yep.
Yeah. That was,
And that's all we're doing is you're aiming to recreate the sensation as much as possible for a lot of these things.
and then understanding why that sensation was successful or why it wasn't successful. So, and
Yeah.
me and Peter, we were trying something new this weekend where when we finished our run, you would replay the run immediately in your head right after. Because normally we'd finish the run, jump out, like start like changing numbers and tire pressure and all this other stuff. But we were trying a thing where, and I didn't get a good chance to debrief Peter if he felt like that was useful or not. Um, but when the run is like super fresh in your head, whether it's autocross run or a lap, uh, like going through it immediately is going to be when those thoughts are going to be most potent because you literally just finished it. Your brain hasn't had a chance to have other thoughts and things come in and cloudy up exactly what you did and how you remember that run.
Yep. Yeah, which is to call back to Sam's thing. It's like he did it right away. Right away. I watched it all happen right. I'm like, he's gonna have no problem. you know?
Yeah.
Um, can I bring up something from a couple weeks ago that I want you to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I'm curious what it is.
Since we're talking mind games here a little bit. So you had this kind of interesting formative weekend when the car you raced at CMP was racing at Road America.
Oh,
You know where I'm going?
yeah,
You know where I'm
maybe.
going?
Yeah, I might.
S- So that yellow Corvette, the DJ raced at CMP, the usual driver was back in it, and they go out for practice. We're all watching live timing because it's GLTC and it's cool and it's great and whatever. And that car, that driver, was the fastest car.
I
And I
would.
get a message from DJ going,
Yeah, I'm like,
"Go ahead."
I'm either I don't know how to drive or all the suggestions I made for the car to make it faster were true. I don't know if I should be like pumped or freaked out. It was basically the gist of it.
Yeah. And did you have any like mental game like clicks with that going through that? Because do you tell the rest of the story?
Well, I'm not sure if I remember the story as accurate as you, but I remember just thinking, okay, if nothing was changed on the car and then somebody took that car to the front of the pack, like I just experienced like a Dunning-Kruger curve along my slope of enlightenment, which would be pretty interesting, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
holy crap, that's kind of cool. Um, and I was like
Little
ready.
like bump stupid instead of
y-
mount stupid.
Yeah, it was like a little ridge. Um, and
Little ridge of stupid.
yeah, and then I like fall into like a little baby valley of despair. Uh, but I remember thinking, or all the suggestions I made because I wasn't sure what changes Jacob made to the car, or all the suggestions I made, like actually turn that thing into a front running car. That would be so cool. Uh, Turns out it was illegal on power. That's why it was in the front. But
Yeah, exactly. So we had this little back and forth, and you seemed a little alarmed.
yeah,
I couldn't tell for sure. But it
I
was
almost want to
voice.
go back and find the text because I'm not entirely sure what I said. I'm not even sure what I would search in this to find it.
it was kinda what you just said. It's like, I either forgot how to do this, but, uh-oh, this looks kinda bad for me. 'Cause, like, I was only 7th in that car, whatever it was. But then it turns out the car was illegal for dyno on the practice session. They detuned it for in time for qualifying, and the car was exactly where you ran it. And I remember moments like that. I feel like a lot of us have moments like that where you have that, like, "Uh-oh, uh-oh, I thought I was doing better than that. I thought I was further along than that." And then you get, like, that false scare. Was that your first time really dealing with that?
Um, no,
I
I
got the
think
impression, yes.
I've had that. Well, so I mean, Scott Heckert, the guy that was driving the car, like that dude's won uh like a NASCAR feeder series races and stuff like that. So Scott can freaking drive. But there was a moment where I'm thinking, "Oh my god, like I'm that far away from what I think that car can do." And like that was kind of making me panic a little bit, but also it's at the same time it was like a little exciting that like I had that much more to like figure out. I was thinking like, "Ooh, shit, there must be some low-hanging fruit in here, right?" Uh,
Yeah.
and taking down a piece of low-hanging fruit, that is a great feeling. If I had some low-hanging fruit like that, I was going to be pretty determined to figure out like exactly what that like that juicy time uh shaped fruit was. But uh or or because I drive a bunch of people's cars and make suggestions to them, and the people I hear back from that make those changes are always pretty happy with, oh yeah, hey, it was that thing, or ooh, we changed this, the car's much better, stuff like that. Because a lot of times you're just taking in the experience of all these other things that you've driven to try to understand, oh, the driver, like the most common one that I bring up that a lot of people miss out on is grip tape on the bottom of a metal floor right before the pedals. Like that's so useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when
Mhm.
you drive a car with grip tape before the pedals and then you jump into a car that doesn't have grip tape before the pedals, it just feels like you have a little less control of what's happening. And it's such a simple thing.
Also also a dead pedal.
Dead pedals
I
help
would put
too.
that in the same category.
Yeah.
Like, having a dead pedal in the car is, like, actually surprisingly important.
So I bet when most people get us to drive a car and then like they get like the driver feedback or whatever, they don't expect like you need some skateboard tape like underneath your pedals. Like they're expecting like
Yeah,
you need
yeah.
to get your shocks revalved or this like wild change thing. Like most of the time it's just like real simple shit. Like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, the steering wheel needs to be like a little closer, or like if the seating position was a little bit different like this, or sometimes it's like one time I took a car out and I was like, hey, I think your diff's broken. And like, what? Really? Are you sure? And then they like a couple months later they opened up the transmission and went, oh yeah, my diff was like eating itself. But they just thought that's how the car drove. But like they like it was that's Integra. Like that thing was doing some weird stuff.
Oh,
I was like, what is this thing doing? I was like, it took me a couple laps to like try to figure out. I was like, this thing's broken in a way that it's like puzzling me. It took me a couple laps to like figure out what it was.
so we have a topic idea that we're not gonna get to like, this isn't for today, but we wanna do a topic of how do you know when your car is too hard to drive? So if you have any thoughts or experiences when you're listening to this, and you have a story of how you learned that your car was really hard to drive, you should definitely email us or join the Discord and comment in there because we're gonna start a little list of stuff. Because I've had a very similar experience recently where it's like, oh my god, my car like the car is just too hard to drive. That's all. Like, there's not even a pinpoint the problem other than it's just too hard to drive. And I feel like that would be a really helpful topic if we can put a little punch list on that, like we did with the rain one.
Like what, the car's too hard to drive? Like ways to make your car easier to drive?
Even ways to tell that your car is too hard to drive.
Mm.
How many times, like exactly what you're talking about, when you drive the car and you drive the car and you drive the car, and you're either half the day in or 10 laps of the day in, you're like, what the hell? At what point can you just start like, okay, my car is too hard to drive, and then what do I do about it? Because sometimes it's way too hard to drive, but it's hard to tell if it's your own car.
Yeah, Kevin Zoo in the chat, he was I don't remember saying it was literally undrivable because I definitely drove that car, Kevin. Uh, but I'm pretty sure the on Kevin Zoo's car when I got to race it at Lime Rock with him, we shared the weekend. It like, at the end of the session, it would just get like more and more loose on entries, which is not normally what a front wheel drive car on street tires does. And the only thing I could think of is that the tired shocks on the car, uh, were, like, starting to cavitate, so they were getting it was getting a bunch of air bubbles into the shock fluid, so then the shocks at the end of the race weren't, like, doing what they should, so they were just, like it was just, like, there was basically, like, no rebound in the car, so that's why it would be so loose on, entries. That's the only thing I could think of, like, the way it was, like, interacting with, like, the weight moving around the edge, and it would only do it toward the, like, the end of the race. It was the
Yeah.
wildest thing.
I had a conversation with Robert Thorne last week, which I have a bunch of stories from our road trip, uh, about wheels and something that people never think about that they've started to have to somewhat consider within drifting at least, or he made it sound like they do, is like the stiffness of the wheel that they choose to run. So
Like,
like when they used to be
hold
running
on.
the Koenig Hypergram.
Oh,
Wait,
like
what?
okay, like wheels that hold tires. I was thinking steering wheels.
No, 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 wheels that hold tires,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
on the car, that bolt to the car. So you have the Koenig Hypergram is what they used to run, and he said they used to be able to even like see it flexing on videos and stuff. Like it's a super soft construction wheel, and it's also not very strong. And then they switched to some other Koenig that's way stronger, and the car drives in a way that makes him believe that the wheel is so much stiffer that it's actually like fundamentally part of the setup. And they haven't done wheel to wheel testing, literally wheel to wheel, like back to back testing yet.
Wheel to wheel.
But they like they had to like change a little bit to the of the chassis, which blew my mind. I'm like, of course none of us have ever thought about like what stiffness of our wheel is. Most of us have RPF ones or some bullshit anyway, but
Yeah.
how crazy would that be if that's like have you ever thought of that before? I've never thought of that before.
I think I've only ever driven on flimsy wheels. I don't know if I've ever driven on,
I also, to be fair, he's on like a 1,000 horsepower drift car. That might be a little different.
yeah, but, like, how much does the
To our
handling of the
300 to 400.
yeah, but hold on. Maybe this is me being on the Dunning-Kruger curve of, drifting, but how much does the handling of the car matter in drifting?
A lot, apparently. Uh, you know those? I don't know if you understand. Okay, I just heard all these stories about it, so I'm
Okay,
just gonna go into it.
that's fine. I can
Those
look like
cars
an
make
idiot right
so
now.
much
That's
grip.
that's normal.
They, yeah, those cars make so much grip. So Robert was saying, you know, he did the Pro Spec Championship, which is kind of like the Xfinity Series level, the one below, and won that like on debut in 2022. Went into pro in 2023 against all the biggest pro names, and kind of like, oh, I got a lot to learn. And then this year has been like just getting into. He's making it past, you know, first and second rounds, and he's doing better with that. He's like, one of the things is the cars make so much grip. They run the tires at like 8 psi to make them flex and dig into the ground. And he's like, I wouldn't be able to complete laps 2 years ago with the way I knew how to drive these cars in a full on pro car because there's so much power. They're so soft. They make so much grip. It sounds kind of like driving bias plies, but you're drifting.
8 PSI. I'm surprised the wheels even stay on the rims
Yeah. So they're going for like so much
or
grip.
the tires stay on
And
the wheels.
and what?
I said wheels stay on the rims, which like doesn't make any sense. The tires stay on the wheels.
Wheels on. Didn't even
Yeah,
pick up on it. You sold me.
my brain's not braining.
uh yeah, so that's why did we start there? The handling is so important because they also have to keep up. Like if they're just slow, they get gapped when they're trying to chase the other car. They can't go, like they suck.
Yeah.
It sounds I like I know I couldn't do it. It's kind of mind-blowing to me how intensive they are with that.
Miss Jackie in the chat said that Chelsea, whoever that is,
Denofa.
used to glue his tires on.
Yeah.
Drifting's weird, man.
That was yeah. Okay, so drifting stories. Let's see. So basically last week I went on a road trip from Oklahoma City to Seattle because Robert, who had a pro drift event in Seattle, didn't have any other teammates that could go with him. So he's like, I need someone to ride with me. In some group chat I'm in and message like, I'm off next week. I can go. no one else made better sense. So he and I road tripping, and we've been in the same circles since like 2010. We met, so it's been like 15 years at this point, and it was so freaking fun to like road trip with somebody who has so many similar experiences, lived like completely different. Because he's raced Daytona, he raced in Europe, he's raced GLTC, he's done autocross and won nationals, he's done one lap, he's doing drifting now. Like we can collaborate on like tell stories on all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But neither of us did it the same way, like at all. So we just, I mean, like the first 4 hours, 5 hours, we just like went and went and went and went. And I don't think he and I have ever really got to like hang out, just the two of us. So that was really nice. And we had 3 days to do it. We were going to take two, but the way that my little like nocturnal sleep schedule worked out and the way that I had flown in to help him, and he started driving and I kind of passed out for a little bit. I think I got in the driver's seat at like 9 p.m. something. I don't know. And I drove till like 4:30 in the morning, just trucking along, having the best time. I got to see Idaho for the first time.
Oh.
It's fine. Uh,
It's fine. Was there anything there?
uh, Honestly, Idaho is fairly pretty.
Hold on,
But I got
before
to
you
talk about the
answer.
Pacific Northwest
Yeah,
here.
hold on.
What?
Before you answer this, let me see
Are you
how
looking
many.
where Idaho is?
Kinda, but I'm seeing how many listeners we have in Idaho.
Oh, more than New Zealand, maybe?
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna look. Um. Oh shit, I don't know which one Idaho is. Oh, okay, here we are. Point.
It's the long, narrow one.
Yeah, it's 0.04% of our downloads. So we do have some Idaho downloads here.
Well, hello, Idaho friends. Um, this
Oh,
doesn't count for Idaho. This counts for Washington and Oregon. I gotta if you're from up there, can you email us what's going on up there? Does nobody speed? I've already messaged DJ about this. Everybody just drove the speed limit, and I'm in this big rig at 77 miles an hour doing, in a 70, the fastest car on the road for like all of Oregon and all of Washington. So I
it
gotta know what's going on up there.
maybe it's
It
like a
drove me nuts.
maybe it's like a Virginia thing where like you don't speed in Virginia because you'll just go to jail.
Maybe I got away with one. I
Yeah,
don't know,
or maybe you got a warrant out for your arrest.
but I hope I didn't because I didn't get pulled over. But I know we have West Coast listeners, so I got to get to the bottom of this because I've been trying to figure it out for a week. It was very strange. So then we get to the track and we help set up everything. Um, what was the next thing that happened? Oh, the are you yawning? Am I boring you?
No, I'm just tired. I Top golf wore me out, man.
That was amazing. The last thing I was going to tell a story of was I went to dinner after we set everything up with Robert's team that he's kind of teamed up with in Oklahoma. So they're all drifters, and two of them co-own like the local drift club, and they're um they're the people like us that like eat, sleep, and breathe it, right? So the conversation is a lot of the drift event stuff, and they brought up lizard brain, and they were talking about drifting and kind of like feeling the flow of the car, and I get the impression a lot of the guys, especially at more local events, the way they drift is they try stuff, but they don't really know what's going to happen. So there's not a lot of precision and stuff in the learning process. It's just like slinging stuff and seeing what's working.
Yeah.
And the guy who's like super experienced, runs in the pro stuff, is like, you do it and the lizard brain just does it for you and it feels really good and the lizard's happy and all of a sudden and then the other brain, your front brain comes in and is like, whoa, 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 lizard, calm down, calm down. And you're like, I got to get that lizard brain because the lizard brain screws way
Oh my
harder than the
god.
other guy.
This guy
And I was like, this is perfect.
this guy's a fan, he doesn't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we went all into that. It was fun to listen to them talk about teaching people to drift,
Is that when you
try
like
to like relate to it.
is that when you like rip your sweater off and underneath you have lizard brain merch?
I should have. Yeah. Oh, I should have given them stickers.
Oh,
Damn.
dude, I always forget I have lizard brain stickers in my backpack.
Me too. Hey, if you see us out in public, we have lizard brain stickers in our backpacks. We can get you some. Or if you don't want to wait,
You can
you
buy
can order
them.
them on lizard brain merch.
If we sell 50,000 lizard brain stickers, Tom can get a
Oh my God.
Camaro.
Okay. All right.
Deal?
Buy up. Buy up.
I mean, really, guys, in the grand scheme of things, that's not really that many stickers, but a Camaro's a Camaro.
I want a Camaro so bad.
Tom, I feel like you need a Camaro. Can we figure out a way to get you in a Camaro?
I would love to. Uh,
All right.
I will again eventually.
Someday
I
Tom's
feel
gonna be
like
in a bitchin' Camaro again.
and I'll be peak Tom again.
It's got to be an automatic and 1 LE, right?
My last one wasn't a 1LE, but I'll take a 1LE.
But it was like 1 LE, it like a FID.
It was.
Yeah.
It was modified. I feel like we should do some questions because we have some amazing questions saved up.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me hit the button.
I know how long we've been going.
Emails. All right. Tom, you go for the first one. Are we looking at the pin messages?
Yeah.
I can do the first
Uh,
one because it's asking about sim racing stuff.
go for it.
All right. MP Spear writes in sim racing gear question. I'm looking to upgrade some of my now very aging sim equipment. Currently a Thrustmaster T500 RS pedal and wheels in a basic rig that's probably like a decade old. It has been solid for many years, but everything has advanced so much in the past few years that my stuff is starting to look and feel old / wear out. I want to move to a decent direct drive wheel and some pedals with a load cell brake. When people ask you about sim equipment, what do you recommend upgrading first, brakes or wheel? Also, what do you guys personally use and what would you recommend if you do have recommendations? For what it's worth, I do iRacing in virtual reality. All right. Tom, what do you use? This is going to be
You
helpful.
know. Don't listen to me. Just answer the man's question.
um, obviously you upgrade. I mean, hearing what you have, you're gonna want to upgrade the pedals first. I think Sim Magic has the best offerings at the moment. I would kind of stay away from Fanatec gear because they're kind of going bankrupt at the moment. So I wouldn't send money to a company that might go bankrupt. Um, I do like the Fanatec V3 pedals. So if you can find some of those used on Facebook Marketplace, normally you can find one with some upgrades on it for like $300. I think that's a really good deal. But if you want to buy new, Sim Magic, I think is the way to go. I forget if it's the P1000 or the P2000, whatever one's cheaper. They're like $500 to $600. I think those for the money is super, super solid. So upgrade that first. And then after, I think Sim Magic also has a good option for like a direct drive wheel. I personally, I have the V3 Fanatec pedals just because that's what I've had for a very long time now, and I haven't seen the need to upgrade. I've wanted to upgrade, but eh, why would I spend the money when I'm like perfectly happy with my pedals? But my wheel is a VRS direct drive. I think they call it like direct force or whatever. And then I use a Cube Controls like Formula wheel, and then I have a round wheel with like a turn button box on it. So I use the round wheels for like rally cars and trophy trucks and like the Miata and stuff like that. And then I use like the Formula wheel for
All
everything
the good
else.
stuff.
All the stuff that Tom's likes to drive. So, but I use the Formula wheel for most cars, just because it doesn't interact with because I use a screen. So that's why I use a Formula wheel, so it doesn't like block the HUD of a car. But the cars generally that I'm using the circular wheel with, they don't have like a HUD with like tire pressures and fuel and all this other stuff that might be blocked by a round wheel. Because they're kind of the more simple cars. That's like kind of why the round wheel. That's why it works. But in VR, just use a round wheel. And I think Sim Magic has the best offerings at the moment. And as far as I know, that doesn't look like they're going bankrupt.
We should be sponsored.
What up, Sim Magic?
Hey, how you
The,
doing,
the
Sim
first
Magic?
one's free. The next time I'm going to offer Husenveld.
There you go. We got to sweep in on that Jimmy Broadbent.
I,
Take him out of the knees. We get his sponsorship.
I think Moza sponsors Jimmy Broadbent, which like
That's what I'm
seems
saying. The other guy's ready to go.
yeah,
His horsing belt thing is expired.
I bet the Moza stuff is fine. I haven't been too impressed by the pedals. I've never driven on them. But they just kind of look like a cheaper version of the Fanatec V3s, which you can find a million used sets on the internet, and they last a very long time. So even if it's used, it's going to be perfectly fine.
Nice. I hope that helps. Oh, I lost it. MP.
MP
Nailed that.
Spear.
Okay, I'm going to Turtle's question. So I know we talked about before. We've talked about before a run or a session to hype or chill ideas. What about during a run or a session? What do you do to tell people? What do you do or tell people to do if there's a big mistake or a huge win? I find myself sometimes over celebrating or overly kicking myself, as overheard on in car videos, and I want to be able to recenter quicker as to not be too distracted to keep up a good run or a good lap. That's a great question.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I'm trying to put myself in times where I would say like sometimes it will feel like I'm not 100% focused. I kind of yell at myself. Like I'll yell come on at myself like come on. So
Yep.
something like that. Uh or like if I find like I'm getting like lazy on like if it's like a endurance or something like that, I like I like yell like things of affirmation at myself like keep pushing, like stuff like that. It's like kind of cheesy, but like I don't know, it freaking works for me. When it comes to like calming down, I obviously don't like relax. I don't yell that at me because that's probably not going to help. But I breathe. I focus on breathing. Like if I just need to relax, like if I feel myself like getting shaky. You ever drive in a car, Tom, and you feel your legs shaking?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not recently, but that has absolutely happened before.
Right. So if I feel that, then I'll like just try to breathe, and then that normally the shakes will go away.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I took it a little differently, but I hear what you're saying too, which
How
gave me
did you
more
take
thought.
it?
So I took it as like, especially with the when things are going well, like how do you stay focused when you're not even stay focused, but how do you recenter yourself when like the corner goes really well? So I'm picturing like you're at Road America or Road Atlanta, let's say Road Atlanta, and you're coming off of turn 7 and you have that entire back straight and you freaking nail turn 7. It's like you're 2 tenths into the green, but like an hour and a half into the session, and it's like that was the turn 7 of your life. And you're like kind of giving yourself a little celebration, and now you have this whole straightaway to lose focus because the last thing you did broke your routine, and the next thing you need to do is like the most important braking zone on the track, right? Okay, so how do you? I mean, in general, if you're having those little wins and your emotional reaction is to like celebrate them, freaking do it, because I think that wears off over time, and it will never go away because you're gonna nail a corner and you're gonna go hell yeah. But if you're at the stage of like I'm celebrating it, remember that feeling of what it's supposed to feel like and like cherish that because that's awesome. But then the next important thing is like what's the next reference, which probably a break marker. Like refocus it right away. That's kind of what I focused or thought of. But you're right.
I'm like
If things are
I'm putting myself in
good,
like the position where you're chasing green and like you're on a green lap. I feel like
yep,
I've thrown away so many laps that should be like the best lap, and that feeling always sucks that I get
mhm,
like a refocus. Like just because I'm green, it's like okay, and then like my brain instantly goes to brake marker. This is how it should feel on entry. This is the angle I should have at apex. Like this is where my eyes should be at this point. Like I run through the corner like even before I get there. If I have time to like think about it. If I don't have time to think about it, it's almost better because I'm just like flowing of exactly
yep,
where I should be and what I should be doing. But if I do have time to think
yeah,
about it, I'm just running through that. I'm like driving the corner in my head before I even get there.
right. And then the other part of the positive that I would go with is if you're getting a couple of like green corners and all of a sudden that like that celebration feeling is kicking in, you don't have to do anything that you haven't already done to like win the end of that lap.
Yeah, true.
And I feel like people fall into the trap of like, I got 2 tenths there and I got one more chance to get a couple more. So they keep digging, they keep digging, they keep digging. When all you got to do is like replicate what you've done before
Just go
because
with
you've already gotten a win.
Yeah, just go with
Yeah.
the known quantities, and then now you have your fastest lap. If you want to experiment some other time, a lot of times, sometimes it'll happen where, like you made a mistake earlier in the lap, and maybe you've been down like a tenth the whole lap. You're like nailing everything and everything, and then you just like dig a little deeper in one little spot, and then next thing you know, you're like a tenth up, so you gain 2/10 in a spot, and you're like, "Whoa, what happened there?" And then that happens to be your fastest lap. Like sometimes that happens because you're like, "All right, I figured something out in that spot," and like now you're taking a little like, you're a little distracted with it because you're trying to figure out exactly what you did to like find some magic time.
Yep. But anytime I get a win, like honestly, the earlier that like little green moment that cues the lizard up happens, the more comfortable I am. Like, oh, I just have to repeat the rest of this lap. I don't have to go faster the rest of this lap. I already went faster once. I'm going to go faster if I just replicate
Yeah,
everything that this information or this little data thing is telling me I've already done. And then the last part is when you're falling into a negative pattern, especially if it's like a routine, a couple of mistakes or something. I'm the same way. Like I don't scream at myself, but I say famously, come on, let's act like you've done this before.
yeah.
That's my little line to myself. And that usually pulls me out of it. But I say celebrate the little wins in the car, but then like as soon as you need to, if you're gonna celebrate them, have it be the cue to like focus on the next thing as well.
But
Because
I think
what?
like yeah, celebrate them, but celebrate them after you finish the lap.
Within reason, yeah.
I mean, look, unless we're at like Le Mans and it's like a minute long straightaway, and you're like, I don't know if I can wait another 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta celebrate now.
I'm I might forget to celebrate in 5 minutes.
I just got flashbacks to the Gran Turismo movie when they would be on the straightaways. If he tried to celebrate, he would crash for sure. That's the
Well,
Gran Turismo.
that's fine because if he just wants to go a little faster, he can just push the throttle down and shift again, and then he's good to go.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone
He
knows
has
that's how
to.
you
What
set fast
was?
lap times.
He just has to focus or commit. He's
Commit.
just got to commit.
If they just committed every corner, they would be fast enough to win.
Yeah. A dumb movie.
That movie was so stupid.
Okay, I hope that answers your question, or I hope that helps. Um, the in the moment sort of focusing. Every even being aware of your tendencies can be a trigger to focus again. So if your tendency is to celebrate or dwell, that can be the trigger point to like, oh, I need to focus on dwelling or I'm celebrating.
Yeah, that works.
Little
And
mind games.
and if you keep messing up, you can run back to another famous quote of the Gran Turismo movie and just remind yourself that there's no reset button. Thanks, Taylor.
Nice. All right, pick another one.
Okay. I just now I'm thinking about the stupid Gran Turismo movie with the gold Lambos and the angry German guy and I'm gonna read this one from Mike Rasney, who was or Rasney, who was nice to see this weekend. Uh, now that
Ooh,
Tom is putting his autocross game and powers toward the Chappelle Roan appreciation, I'm not getting that joke. Maybe you can explain it.
don't worry about it.
What's some music you would love to use your racing fame to expose more racers to? We've been in grids, paddocks, and I think some expanded musical horizons would do us all some good. I know the first pick, Tom, Tom, this has to be your favorite song. Can I guess what your favorite song is?
Yes.
Do you think I'm gonna get it right?
Yeah, I know you will.
Okay. Oh shoot, I'm forgetting the name of the band, but it's called Phantom Racer from like what's the name of the band, Tom?
TWRP.
TWRP. Phantom Racer from TWRP. Tom, that song hypes me up, dude. I love that song.
Yes. I kind of want to make it so let's everyone take this question and then like email us your favorite songs. We used to do this a little bit. I want to play them on the podcast, little snippets. Like I have like 5 or 6 amp up songs that I want to play, but we're not like prepared for that right now, right? Um
Well, also we'll get demonetized on YouTube. All that in that YouTube income with all 60 viewers
Yeah.
on YouTube. By the way,
Yeah.
guys, this is on YouTube and we record our webcams and stuff. So like if you want to go like check out the YouTube video.
See our beautiful faces.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Phantom Racer by TWRP is it will change your life if you play it at the right time. It I found it at the right time and it changed my life. But also I'm trying to get it out everywhere. So I got it into a pattern. I snuck it into some playlists for the SCCA stuff.
Ooh, it's so good.
And we were at the runoffs. We were at the runoffs. I think it had to be 2021 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And they were using my playlist as like the downtime between run days on or run sessions on qualifying day. So we're in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The last session before lunch goes quiet. The whole track goes quiet, and they queue up my playlist, and the song finishes, and then very next song, full volume in the silent Indianapolis Motor Speedway is Phantom Racer, and I like one of the coolest moments ever. And I'm like, I made this song play here. This is so cool.
I think
um,
I think songs with attitude work. Like Zach K, he might have just been joking around, but WAP, he said that one hits pretty hard. But I kind of agree.
yeah,
Like any songs with like some like cocky attitude,
yep.
just like that songs that just like have a ton of confidence behind them. Like I feel like those are like some real solid songs to listen to.
I have so many of those. I'm trying to think of. I mean, right now I've been completely stuck on. Also, it's Chapel Roan. You said Chappelle Roan. I'm not a big Chapel Roan fan. The songs, but it's like one of those pop artists that's hitting. I'm listening to a lot of Charlie XCX right now. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, Christine forced me to listen to them. No, she sent it to me and said, "Listen to this."
So you're having a brat summer.
Mm, the brattiest.
Nice. Um, yeah, it's definitely like club music, but it's a little goes to like a little Berlin club, like a little dark club. It goes a little like pop songy. I like it. There's a couple good ones. What do you listen? What's a good? Just give us one example, and then we're gonna do this for real. We're gonna. I have like a list that I'm gonna play. We're gonna queue them all up. We're gonna go through the first like 15 seconds of each one and try to get some friends hooked on them.
Oh crap!
Like
Should
next
I?
episode.
Oh, next episode?
No, 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 not right now. Not right now.
I was
No,
gonna say, should
we'll
I
be
hook my
prepared
phone
for it.
up to the thing? Because I don't know if I've.
No, we'll be prepared.
Okay, all right. Haven't we done like a pump up song? Like somebody would send in a pump up song and we listen to it and rate it. We've done that before,
Yeah, we
haven't
used to
we?
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys have a pump up song that you want us to rate, we'll rate it up on. We'll come up with a scale. We'll rate it up on like pump potential, catchiness. We'll come up with a score, and we'll keep like a leaderboard of people's pump up songs. I kind of like that idea.
The other one is so Phantom Racer, and then also the intro song from Gran Turismo 2, my favorite game.
Mm.
Those two hit right every time.
You know, something about I'm drawing a blank. I think it's called like Imagine or something like that. The GLTC intro music.
What?
The GLTC like intro
Oh,
music, like when
oh,
they're like
yeah,
starting
like the
up
really
the
synthy.
yeah.
Yeah.
That song gets it for me. I can't remember what it's called. It's called like Imagine. I don't remember who it's from. Um, Kyle
Elton
Hire will be
John.
able to tell you. I've Emojon, maybe. Are you messing with me?
No,
You
no,
might be
no.
messing with me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got all excited. I was like, "That's it!" But uh,
I didn't even get the right John. It was John Lennon. I was going for the joke, but I missed it
oh,
completely.
okay. I forget
I
what
got the wrong John.
I forget what it's called. Kevin's typing right now. It seems like he would know what that is. But I like songs with like attitude. You know, one that I was listening to. It was a Post Malone song. I just got to remember what the name of it was called. I Like You, which is kind of like an older song. It's the happier song. It had like a bunch of like confidence in it, and it was like put me in the right headspace for like going out and doing some autocross runs.
Nice. Yeah, same. I mean, amp up for sure. Um, all right, this is from Spicy Cat Racing. Do either of you have any opinions on groups like the Motorsports Safety Foundation or NASA doing specific courses for instructors and coaches?
Hold on. Kevin did know. It is Imagine by Aman. Amann. So, all right.
There
Sorry,
you go.
Tom. That was the
Did you
GLTC
have a
intro.
question?
Nope, I didn't even. I was busy looking up that song.
Okay,
Sorry,
the
Tom.
question was, do you either of you have opinions on groups like the Motorsport Safety Foundation or NASA doing specific courses for instructors slash coaches? I do. Do you?
I have opinions, but I feel like I don't know enough to share them, like, without potentially sounding real dumb. Does that make sense?
Same. Yeah. Yeah. Or douchey.
But I mean, that's what this podcast is about, I guess.
Yeah. So with the asterisk that I know very little about them, other than the goal is to standardize the style of instruction that happens on road courses at racetracks. No, at track events, not at on road courses at racetracks. Duh. Um, I've not been to one. I don't know much about them. I think they're a little summer campy, for the lack of a better term. Like it's from the outside looking in, it seems a little cheesy. Is that fair to say? I
Yeah.
hope that doesn't sound negative, but it does. Like I see it. I think the most important part of it is that it's very aware of its own goal of where it like lives within the sphere of like education with driving. Because I don't think that I struggle a lot with curriculum based learning with this stuff because I feel like it's too rigid.
Mhm.
And I also feel like it's important for a group to know whether they're instructors or whether they're offering true driver coaching. And it's not to say one's more important than the other, but they're totally different things.
They are. Like, to me, an instructor is purely just to make sure that the person doesn't hurt themselves and they have fun. The lap time
Yeah,
literally does not matter for that person. The instructor, it
correct.
should be called something else. It should be like track buddy or something like that. It shouldn't be
Yeah,
called
I think
instructor.
we could kind of redesign this from the ground up, but that's kind of where my hesitation to be like all about it comes from. It lives it's there's something off-putting about it that it takes itself too seriously. Maybe this is just instructors at track days in general, because you're right. The goal is to make someone have a great day and fall in love with our sport.
Yes.
And I think it if it wanted to do that and add education in, I wish it taught things more like the way to identify like what maximum brake pressure feels like and how to make the car work at that. And some pretty basic stuff that I'm sure they do is, but I still think a lot of it is it takes itself a little too seriously, and it
And
starts
maybe
to get the line blurred towards driver coaching without being without always having like the right people qualified for it, or the right model for it. Go ahead.
now, that being said, the reason why I was a little hesitant to even comment on this at all is I've never taken the course. I don't even know what the curriculum of the course is. They could talk about
Right.
like having making sure your students' belts are like set up properly because I've seen some belts that like would literally just like crush a dude's spine and they thought that it was fine before and it's like, nah, dude, you do not want to be driving it. They connected it, they went through the seat holes and then it immediately went down and then just like bolted into where the seat like bolts to the bottom of the ground. So if they got in a crash, it would just like like the belt would just like sandwich them into the ground. It's like, "Ooh, dude, if you hit something hard, like, this is not the outcome you would want." So
Yeah.
maybe the curriculum, and I'm purely speculating here, but maybe the curriculum, like, goes over stuff like that and, like, make sure that these people are, that show up with no experience, you check the things that would ruin a good time, like, having your spine crushed. I bet that's not a good time. So, uh, maybe the curriculum goes after stuff like that. But if the curriculum goes into anything about how to drive a car fast, I feel like we're losing track of exactly what instructors are doing.
Yeah.
I'd
I-
be curious if anybody's taken that
It's such a
course. please reach out to us. Like, let's have a conversation because I'm curious what's in there and I would like to have an opinion on it. But honestly, I can't really have an opinion on it because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it'd be nice. We should have some, but I know we have plenty of friends who are certified and more familiar with it. We should have on that we could have a really honest conversation with because I know I feel like I'm flirting with putting it down. I don't mean to be putting it down, but I think it's important to understand where it fits. The last part about it is also that, oh, I just lost it. Shoot. I had one more point from what you were talking about.
Maybe it will come back.
Uh,
Winnie said
uh,
that she hasn't done the MSF, but it's more how to communicate with people and less on the details. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by less on the details, Whitney.
okay, like if it's so that would mean it's more like maybe helping people with their customer service face and with their tactics to like make sure people stay confident or like emergency avoidance. There's probably some like if someone's having this problem, do this kind of stuff. If it's
Oh,
like I
like
love
they're
all those ideas.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I remembered what I was going to say. If it's oh, I lost it again. No, 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 no.
All right, all right.
What's happening?
I don't
It keeps
know.
going in and out.
So if you
Oh, I know what I'm talking about from before. I remembered it. I got it this time. Don't interrupt me. Don't you dare say a word.
so Tom, the other day,
No. I'm going off of when I look at stuff that I think is a little redundant or silly, like side by side drills. That's kind of what I'm assuming is also lumped in there, like a curriculum for education that I don't always love. I think that stuff's always can flirt with uh, a little too high on its horse.
I think the
You know what I mean?
NASA, yeah, the NASA like track day stuff is a little weird.
It's a little too intense. But it's still like in theory great. Is NASA the only one that does side by side? I've seen other people do side by side drills. They used to do it at
I don't
Grid
know.
Life, I think.
Is it exciting for the people doing it, or are they kind of like, I wish I was just setting laps?
I've never met anybody that's like I'll stop there. I guess I feel like it's probably just in the wrong vein of teaching someone correctly. Like
Ye-
what is that teaching someone? To be worried about the car next to them. That's not what you should be worried about.
I don't know, like to give space, but like, why would you do that in like, I don't know. I don't fully get it. I think what they're trying to do, like being at a NASA event, they're trying to guide people into wheel to wheel racing. That seems to be what they're trying to do.
For sure. Yeah.
So
But it also sounds like
their whole program is
uh,
designed to like shuffle people toward that.
right. But it sounds like this maybe also may not touch on that kind of stuff. So yeah, we should get educated a little more. But those are my thoughts. I hope I didn't I hope I sounded tactful.
Somebody posted in the comments too. I'm loving all the chat interaction today. By the way, you guys are adding to the show, and I thank you for it.
Mhm.
Tanit4 said, my side by side drills were done at parade lap speeds and didn't get much from it. That's what I would expect most people would say. So, like, why are they wasting their time for that? I don't know. If you have a different opinion, please come on into the Discord and leave a message for us, and we'll talk about it on air. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, just there's a lot of stuff that Tom that like we just don't understand about that now that like we're thinking about it. But honestly, I'm curious if anybody's done the MSF training stuff. Uh, like what is in the curriculum?
Yeah, same. Your turn.
Oh, here we go. I'm just gonna randomly point at one. Chip Manuel writes in. All right, Tom. Time to spill the beans. What's your anti-helmet hair secret? I'm usually a hot, sweaty, greasy mess in photos after runs. And Tom over here is
Damn.
looking like he just walked out of a Sunday brunch. So what's your secret, Tom?
Okay, wait. I've had a recent revelation on this. You know, okay, so the hair's been a thing for a little while. I can't actually remember if anybody's ever actually said it's good. They always just say it doesn't move. You know what I mean? So I've just been taking the compliment all these years, like, oh, that must mean it looks good. No one ever says that. They just say, how do you make your hair not move? So now I'm realizing maybe it's not that good. Maybe it just doesn't move.
Guys, I saw Tom without his hair sticking up once ever. We were
Yeah,
driving
it
back from
happens.
CMP after in February. Remember?
Yeah, I wore a beanie all day.
Yeah, you wore a
That
beanie
was
all day.
Wisconsin, Tom.
So it can, with it all day of it being in a hat, it will not stick straight up. But any other time,
But to be by all this measure, most of us have as good a hair as you have the same good amount of hair as I do. Your hair's the
uh,
same.
what do you mean? I'm bald.
Yeah, and you put a helmet on and then you take it off. Your hair's the same.
It looks
So is
exactly the
Chip's.
same. Yeah, Chip, yours looks exactly the same too.
Yeah,
You haven't seen
everyone has great helmet
you
hair.
haven't seen Chip on the weekend though. He has a mohawk like normally.
Okay, right. I don't know, dude. It just does this. It goes this way no matter what's in it, what I do to it.
When you wake up, is it sticking straight up?
Yeah, I mean, kinda, yeah, it just does this. And you know how I know that there some people every once in a while are like, "Man, how do you get it to not move? It looks jank. It looks whack. Like it's all over the place." And everyone's like, "It looks totally normal." There's another confirmation. I don't think anybody thinks it actually looks good. They just notice it doesn't move.
They just noticed that you pulled the helmet off and it's still sticking straight up. It makes me think that
Exactly.
Tom just bought a fancy helmet. He could like race Formula 1 with this thing and he could like you like carve out the insides to like make room for your spiky hair. I'm convinced of it.
It just goes here.
Yeah. I'm calling bullshit. I'm with Chip. Something's up.
It's a lot of it's in the haircut. I don't wanna discuss this seriously. Are we done with the meme or
I'm like mean mugging Tom over here.
Okay, wait, hang on. The actual answer, if anybody cares, put your hair product in and style it, and then hit it with a rack ton of hairspray and a hair dryer, and then it just bakes into place.
Wait, is that
Won't
uncomfortable
move.
when you put the helmet on?
No, it just kinda smushes and then pops back up.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, Whitney, we have talked about this before, but it's been probably like 2 years. I feel like when we first started the podcast, this was one of the first emails we got. So we we were gonna have to revisit it at some point. All right.
Oh, the last part about that is I have been approached by multiple, girlfriends of drivers for using the hairspray during the race weekends and multiple time attackers for using it as adhesive. So I'm basically a race team.
Basically. Yep. There's
And
no
a salon. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so time attackers have came to you for hairspray?
I guess you could use it to, like, glue
Like a coupler or
hoses
whatever?
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, glue hoses together,
I've
right.
seen how yeah, that's one way to say a like turbo coupler or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you saw them doing with your hairspray, so I
Yeah.
totally get that.
It was Jackie Ding, he can tell us.
All right, you wanna do one more, Tom, or should we just jump into, the closing thoughts?
How long have we been going?
Hour and 23 minutes.
Let's wrap it up. We have some big thinkers that are still in there, but let's save them.
Okay.
What are you doing this weekend?
I am going to go hiking with Christine in,
Aw.
a little under a year. We're gonna get married, and that marriage is gonna require us to hike through the mountains, and we've never went hiking before, so we're starting now to see if we made a mistake or not because we already started paying for the wedding stuff. So,
How far do you have to hike to get to your
you know what?
ideal location?
To be honest, I'm not even sure what hiking requires. I think I'm just walking through the woods. Is that hiking? I don't know. That's hiking, right?
It is, but every once in a while there's like, oh, and you also have to scale this little cliff.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine. That's no
I
problem.
think hiking's pretty easy.
Yeah. So basically, I'm just gonna go walk through the woods with Christine. That's what I'm gonna do
Nice.
this weekend, and it's one of the last weekends I get a chance to install a AC compressor on the Fit because I'm gonna need the Fit to drive to Solo Nationals. So, or I take the truck and spend way more money on gas than I should.
No, 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 don't do that.
Are you flying, Tom?
I don't know yet.
Because we could carpool.
I definitely have well, I I either have to fly and I'll be there all week, or I get to drive and I have to leave early to get back. Um, but I only drive if I have to transport a car. I'm doing a car juggle right now. I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right now I fly out Friday night to get to Mid Ohio in time for the Champ Car race the next day.
Okay.
You want to come?
What if what if I took your car out there? What if I drove whatever car you're taking out there out there?
I don't know if that'll work yet because there may not be a car, but I'll keep you posted if
Okay.
possible.
Because I'm going to need something to drive out there. The fit's going to be really uncomfortable because I'm an idiot and ruined my perfectly comfortable fit with like race suspension. Uh, so I'm gonna need something to drive out there. So if somebody needs a car transported out there, please let me know.
You'd be a glorified trucker like I was.
Yeah, breaker breaker one
Trucker for
nine.
hire.
So what are you doing, Tom?
I'm going to VIR for the 24-hour of Champ Car. Like we did last year. We're going back to defend with our Porsche Boxsters. Um, dude, our car's kind of stacked. Like our car is a little. We're absolutely past the point of everyone else going like, all right, really, because every person in our car is an IMSA driver, like a current IMSA driver.
That's pretty cool.
I'm I'm like, we're definitely doing Champ Car, uh, a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot for Champ Car, but we're running 3 cars total. They're kind of moving a couple people between cars, but we have like a primary focus car that's uh essentially all the people that ran Daytona with us in TCR last year. So I'm super excited for that. And they changed it. It's actually 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. instead of what was it like noon to noon last year or something even worse, like 3 to 3.
yeah, it was pretty brutal. I mean, man, 9 a.m. You're gonna have to get an early start to be in the because remember, I probably wasn't hectic for you, but for us, like getting to grid with the car with fuel in it and everything, it just felt like it was like kind of hectic.
Yeah, I get that. So I mean, we'll definitely have to get it all done the night before, but it
Yeah,
means that you don't have to like basically die on Sunday afternoon and then try to make it home. Like we can chill
yeah,
out
yeah,
and get
yeah.
home that
I didn't
day
think
and
about
stuff.
that.
So,
Yeah.
and I got to give a shout out to Adam, who's one of our listeners. He sent me this like electrolyte stuff or some drink powder. I'm going to try it. I'll have an update next week. And he also sent me some gummies that say energy gummies, and he said they're kind of wild. So I'm going to try those too.
Uh, that energy powder has been posted in the Discord somewhere. I'm trying to find. Oh no, we bring it up on the
While you're
podcast,
looking,
but we never remember what the name of it is. Does anybody
I believe it's
remember?
called EFS hydration.
I'm scrolling so much right now.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what it's called.
yep.
Well, but I won't give it a shout out until it works. The
Okay. Nice.
uh Todd Cayley asked in the live chat if the spectators are allowed at VIR. Yes, as far as I know, it's a non-spectator public event, so you don't have to pay for anything. You just sign the waiver, act like you know what you're doing. Come say hi. If anyone's going to be at Champ Car, come say hi. Champ Car is kind of weird because there's not a lot of external community mingling that I've found, and maybe that's just because we're like the IMSA team there and no one likes us. I don't know, but if you're here and you're listening, if you're there and you're listening, come say hi.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for the show this week, Tom. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
All
We
right.
nailed
Cool.
that, dude.
Yeah. Crushed. What a
It's
great
fun catching
episode.
up. Yeah. Episode 108, we knew it was going to be the best this whole time. But
I, we had fun hanging out this weekend in the Airbnb and stuff. That was a good time.
yeah,
So yeah,
for
I'm
sure.
I'm looking forward to solo nats.
And on that note, well, first you got to walk through nature with children or whatever. While you're
What?
doing that, I love your hair and I hope you win.